Did you know that the hyacinth flower is named for a Greek youth loved and killed by a god? Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly, and once again we're going to be diving into the fascinating world of mythology, and this time we're going to explore the history and myths associated with the Greek god Apollo, twin to Artemis and the god of a lot of stuff. Don't forget, the easiest way to support us is by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel and hitting that bell icon for notifications so you don't miss out on our new videos every Tuesday and Friday. The god Apollo in Greek mythology is the god of a lot of stuff. Apollo is associated with the bow, music, divination, the sun, poetry, healing and medicine, and who would have thought? Plagues. I know you may be thinking, but what about Helios, the god of the sun? Well, Helios is a titan, so he's older than Apollo, and although Apollo is known as the god of the sun, Helios is the personification of the sun itself. Helios's sole job is to drive the sun chariot across the sky, and the word Helios in Greek means sun. Apollo, on the other hand, is associated with the sun, but also with light, hence the epithet Lightbringer, and all that other stuff too. Okay, back to Apollo. He was one of the most loved gods of the ancient Greek world, and it may have been because he was associated with so many positive things in life, and he was worshipped primarily at the sanctuaries of Delos and Delphi. A unique aspect of Apollo's responsibilities was as the god of divination, and this was seen through the Oracle of Delphi. People would travel from far and wide to visit the Oracle of Delphi, which was a manifestation of Apollo's prophetic powers, and people would ask the priestess, or Pythia, questions which were often answered in very confusing and obscure ways. According to legend, Apollo, wishing to reveal to humanity the intentions of his father Zeus, created the oracle on the site where he had killed the serpent, or dragon, Python. The Pan-Hellenic Pythian Games were begun at the site in order to commemorate the death of this divine creature. Apollo is also associated with a number of objects, including his silver bow, which was made by the Olympian god of metallurgy, Hephaestus, a laurel branch, a kithara or lyre, a palm tree, and an omphalos, which is the naval or the centre of the world, which is believed to be Delphi, and was a site which boasted one of Apollo's most important sanctuaries. Many of these objects are rooted in the myths and legends of the god, so let's get into the most famous ones. According to Hesiod in his Theogony, Apollo and his twin sister Artemis were born to Leto and Zeus on the island of Delos, hence the reason why it's an important site of worship for the twins. And apparently, after the first taste of ambrosia, which is the food of the gods, Apollo transformed from an infant to a grown man. When Leto was giving birth to the twins, she gripped a palm tree, which became one of Apollo's symbols. Much like many of the other divinities, Apollo fathered many children, with the most famous of these being Orpheus, who inherited his father's skill with the lyre and kithara, and Asclepius, to whom Apollo gifted his skill in healing and medicine. Apollo had an active role in the Iliad, helping out the Trojans and saving the lives of heroes like Hector, Aeneas, and Glaucus on a number of occasions. Apollo was also responsible for guiding Paris's arrow to the heel of Achilles, which ultimately killed the seemingly invincible warrior. Due to his skill with the bow, common epithets used by Homer and Hesiod are the far shooter, the far worker, the rouser of armies, and Phoebus Apollo, which means Apollo of the sun. The story of the Iliad also shows Apollo's attribution as the bringer of plague and divine retribution, since it was he that sent the plague to the Achaean forces. Much like his sister Artemis, Apollo also had a darker side, and this is evident in the myth of Niobe, for after Niobe boasted that she was better at childbearing than Leto, Apollo and Artemis slaughtered her children, Apollo the boys and Artemis the girls. Although, like most myths, there are many differing accounts of this one. Another victim of his wrath was Marsyas, a satyr who, very unwisely, claimed he was more musically gifted than the gods. The pair had a competition, and the muses, as judges, decided Apollo was the better musician. And so Apollo had Marsyas flayed alive and his skin nailed to a pine tree in retaliation for Marsyas's unfounded claims. Two of the best known myths which are associated with Apollo are those of Daphne and Hyacinth. Hyacinth was a Spartan youth, beautiful and, like all other Spartans, loved athletics and physical activity. He was a lover of Apollo, and Apollo taught him how to play the lyre, how to use a bow, and the art of prophecy. One day they were throwing a discus between them. Apollo threw it so high it split the clouds, and Hyacinth, wanting to impress Apollo, ran after it laughing. But instead of catching the discus, it hit him in the head, and not even Apollo and his medicinal skills could save his lover from death. From the spilled blood of Hyacinth bloomed the hyacinth flower, which was considered one of the most beautiful flowers by the ancient Greeks. Another version of this story tells it as a crime of passion, since not only was Apollo in love with Hyacinth, but so was the god Zephyrus, lord of the west winds. In a classic "if I can't have him so no one can" kind of moment, Zephyrus used his winds to deliberately blow the discus towards Hyacinth, which kills him. The second myth is that of Apollo and Daphne. After insulting Eros, the god of love and sex, for his use of the bow and arrow, Eros pulled out two arrows, one of lead and one of gold. Eros shot Apollo with the golden arrow, which instilled love and desire for the river nymph, Daphne, and in turn Daphne was shot with the arrow of lead, which caused her to feel nothing but hatred for Apollo. Prior to this, Daphne had devoted herself to chastity, following the goddess Artemis, who was the patron of virgins and young women. Apollo would not and could not give up his chase for Daphne. He followed her wherever she went, and she continued to spurn and reject him. They were evenly matched in this race until Eros helped Apollo towards the nymph. Realizing she was about to be captured by the god, she prayed to her father Peneus, the river god, to save her from Apollo, to either open the earth or change her form. And so Peneus answered her pleas and turned her into a laurel tree, which is called Daphne in Greek. In spite of Daphne's final wish to stay away from Apollo, he continued to honor the nymph and used his divine powers to give her eternal youth. Laurel wreaths were a symbol of high status in ancient Greece, and this story is why the laurel branch is one of Apollo's symbols. There are many other stories about Apollo. Do you have a favourite that we didn't mention today? Let us know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our new videos every Tuesday and Friday. This video was brought to you by World History Encyclopedia. For more great articles and interactive content, head to our website via the link below. World History Encyclopedia is a non-profit organisation, so if you'd like to support our work, you can head to our Patreon via the pop-up link here or via the Patreon link down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon with another video.